So anyway, they got a good result in the US court case, and they approached us again. And look, we're going to have a bit more of a look at it. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on it, but we may look to promote their product, and again, it'll be buyer beware.
When we talk about bullish news, we need to keep some of these in mind. That court case was slowing the adoption. And right now you're watching big institutions showing the interest, like, okay, now that you won, we are going for it. But that's not it. Listen to the rest. It's absolutely bullish.
And again, it'll be buyer beware. We'll say to our members, look, here's this new technology. From what I can understand, it can generate real-time transfer of payments. And they seem to have a lot of checks and balances in place. At the briefing that I was at where I did that post, there was a lot of representatives from the major banks that were very interested in it. So it is a real thing.
That's right.
So what's important here is that it's not only this one institution. It's a lot of big banks who are also involved in such a briefing where, they're giving you the real-time payments and how they can use it. Now, think the FTA, the free and trade. Now, we all understand the fact that a payment mechanism like XRP Ledger and XRP as an asset is going to bring the trade finance to a different level. And for these guys, real-time payment is going to give more efficiency. They don't have to maybe work on a 30 to 60 days payment schedule. It comes soon, so why would they opt for something else? And if they are about to do that, that means banks are losing customers. So the major banks will be taking this on. Why wouldn't they? And that's exactly what we are getting onto here.
Their case lately, I didn't know whether they had a positive outcome or negative outcome, but the fact that you were talking to them, I thought they must have had a positive outcome. And then if their payment system are launching here in Australia or are offering as a legitimate commercial business offer, it's very interesting. It'd be very interesting for the likes of me as well, right? Because
now that is what we are talking about. When institutions are now understanding that the SEC case is done and they are like the Five Eyes, they kind of look at what the US is doing, what's happening inside the US markets. And now they're understanding like, okay, things are changing and that's changing quickly. And in an economic times like this, having a real-time payment mechanism for these business, that's going to be huge. And that's one of the reasons why you are watching bullish news coming out. One way or the other, the payments industry is taking off and Ripple is killing it. And it's not Ripple as a company killing it. It's the best use of digital currencies or assets in financial service. So they are talking about digital assets, cryptocurrencies, whatever you name it. That means these kind of things are coming. What does that really mean? Prices are not going to stay where it is now. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. We go through a lot of this in the group trying to break things down, but I would like to take you guys through some of these information which kind of gives you an ability or better understanding about which direction we are going and where exactly we are right now. Because that tends to give you much more freedom of understanding of, okay, this can be a short-term scenario which we are looking into. But then on different models, different assets, different correlations, you're looking at different patterns. And you're like, okay, here, if this is the short-term possibility, what can be a medium-term narrative? Because we usually see 2 to 3 candle reversals, whatever it is, whether it's a 3-candle continuation or a 2-candle continuation, I'm happy. Whether it's 2 days or 3 days, it doesn't matter as long as you still go up because this is the trend. Yes, I agree. Some of you actually ask me, like, how long can this trend last? I'm like, okay, that's a legit question. But remember, we have been doing these kind of things historically, again and again and again. What you have to follow is the direction you're going. If you actually take just a thought process of where we are going, it is going like this, isn't it? Yes, it is 100% true that the market is absolutely volatile. It's doing all this bullshit. Great, but that's what creates opportunities, right? If that's not there, we don't have opportunities. Great. Which is the direction that we are going? If you actually put this one, you can say, okay, this range seems to be more sensible because it was kind of inside that. Then it kind of went outside the box and stayed there. Okay, understood. Last time we didn't have any of these exchanges, volume, and that's one of the reasons why we were slow there. Why am I saying that? Because when I go look at a lot of different assets, comparing one by one, can take each of them off and come into that area just of payment. So this is like the XRP, XLM, XDC. So you are looking at the payments asset and you're watching, okay, they all started up together, moved up together, but XRP was kind of slowed down massively. But as of now, it is still trending much better than a lot of assets. If you actually take into smart contracts and other, you're like, okay, Cardano went sky high, XRP didn't. We got major trouble with the SEC. Right now it's solved. We are trending better than Cardano. Why? We got the green light. They didn't. They got the red one. That's not a good look because institutions, if institution in Australia is saying, okay, we were looking at US SEC, that means these projects are now being slowed down until they get a green light. So which direction do you actually think money is actually going to flow into when the market takes off? If this is what you're looking at, now I really don't think we are going to see this in 2026 because I was thinking more like, okay, if the bull run is actually starting now or in the next couple of months, maybe a year and a half we are done. So maybe we are now going extended towards 2026. But whatever it is, if they are looking at 750 to a million, maybe next cycle, they are pushing about that idea, we're going to see massive money flowing into the market. And we just saw, multiple news coming in. We will actually watch these individuals flip-flopping about Ripple, about XRP. It will come one way or the other. You're going to watch a lot of different things. And yeah, if you guys are not following, if you're in Twitter or X and you're not following me, I would say give it a push. Now, when we're actually going through the market, looking at a lot of different opinions and watching how the adoption is moving, how the marketing. Now, this is not the random meme coin marketing which Ripple is actually going through. It's actually real adoption, real push in different countries. So the marketing this time around is actually macro. If that situation is actually going in that direction and you are getting all these other institutions, regulatory bodies, all of them coming together to do something, which is the CBDCs, which is the payments, real-time payments in an economic situation like this, it kind of boils down to a lot of different aspects. So when I'm looking at all of this, I'm like, okay, this is happening at a time when the economy is doing very bad. So other companies are like, laying off, they're slowing down, whereas this company is buying other companies, is hiring more, is pushing as much as possible to the upside. That's actually something really big. Now, what I was actually searching here was actually the detail where I'm like, okay, this is actually huge. Yeah, XRP Paynet. I'm like, okay, Chase Banks add them as a third party. Now, we saw last week, like the Japan, the Mercedes, they are using another third party to use XRP, SHIB, Ether and other crypto assets as a payment mechanism for them. Now, it's another one, which is bank. Why is that? Because now you have a green light and you're kind of slowly getting into that area. I'm like, okay, that's good. Now this was actually directly tweeted out from XRP and I'm like, okay, that's actually a good news, meaning the direction we are moving into is like a tokenized area. Crypto area is highlighting the fact that the future is looking like this. If you have 5 minutes, watch that. Shout out to Ari on that one. Now, as we go through all this, keep this idea in mind. Money is coming in. The new money is entering this market. So as soon as you understand this is the reality, and you may really go into that side where a lot of you may not be actually agreeing on that, but once you actually take time and look at how things are evolving with these supranational institutions, giving you the idea of how we are moving. Now, it's not only us, right? the XLM, the XDC, all of them are actually moving. And this kind of sums up a lot of different events. When money flow is coming back into the market, you shouldn't go negative. So at that point, you may say, it's really interesting and it really feels like we are going to go to the upside. Great. So we come back to Bitcoin. This is a short-term chart where it's slowing down. We may actually go down and then bounce off. But then you go back here and ask like, okay, here, this is the situation which we are watching. How are we reacting to that, right? First, yeah, getting something like this on a daily is going to be absolutely monumental. We may start running up from there. Great. Now, we also understand the fact that this is a short-term pattern. This kind of extend to 0.56, 0.58 range. And that's, again, showing you this continuation pattern just on a micro structure, a micro viewpoint. Now, if we erase all of this and go on to a monthly, you want to actually make sure you understand things well. We are still trending higher. We are still doing all of these stuffs which we have done in the past at a bigger scale or much bigger scale. I mean, this double bottom, if that double bottom created this run up, what would this double bottom do? You guys can actually imagine. It's all speculation, but think about this. This was the double bottom which pushed the price up from 0.17 all the way up to $2. If that's true, then this time around, how big the run is going to be. Did that happen in a day? No, it didn't. Did that happen in a straight line? No, it didn't. It was choppy. It was choppy. But those who had patience, those who were disciplined enough to ride that wave, made it till the top. Very few, I know, took profit even a tiny bit at that range. Very few called out there is a possible drop coming, take some profit. So now we are looking back into that and saying, okay, we did that. We took some profit. That's a different story. But how can you improve your moves? How can you make it more efficient this time around? And that's where we are coming. This time around, when you go in and take your time to learn, you're like, okay, few of these assets are showing extremely bullish sign. And when you jump into that and try adding on a lot of different assets, including Bitcoin, Cash, Maker, whatever you want, and you're looking at all of these assets are trending higher. Great. So what does that mean? To be fair, I'm like, okay, this is the crash. This is where they all started grinding higher. This is where they all correlated highly. They were moving together. Then a couple of them started taking off. So you're actually watching them. And if you look at that part, here it's like XRP and XLM starting that move up, which is actually something good to look at, right? Then followed by that, you see the Maker and others starting to push to the upside. Now, once you went to that direction and then came back down, this is what we are watching here. It's interesting. It's really interesting because you're watching the XDC and XRP staying kind of at that level, way better than others. Remember, all of them started together here. Bitcoin Cash came much lower than a lot of others. And then it's starting to bounce back up, but it hasn't yet reached into that median range. So yes, it has some upside. I'm not saying it's negative. It still has upside. Great. But XRP is still doing much better than a lot of others in this criteria. Even if you go to the other section with smart contracts, you can include a lot of other assets which are doing much, much worse than Cardano here. Cardano is kind of okay. It's just below XRP in that point. It started together, came back down just below XRP. It's okay. But you have others in that smart contract area which you are doing much, much worse than that. But yeah, for sure, XRP is not a smart contract mechanism. It's a payment tool. So we are comparing it more with the payments asset. That's why initially I was kind of, hesitant to actually take out the BCH and Maker to put it just like the XRP, the XLM, and the XDC, which kind of gives you an advantage to understand that much better. One thing, keep in mind, all of this is starting to go mega bullish. And if you are like, okay, there's a lot of different assets doing that, and you want that information of when to buy, when to sell, when to take profit, when there is a divergence, yeah, this is going to be something which can help you massively, because we are going through a lot of one-on-one sessions these days, but I'm actually getting a lot of different questions. We're going through different assets. When they started dropping last time, what was the signal? When they started moving up, what was the signal? When the market was showing you take some profits, What was that signal? What should you not be missing this time around? That's an important discussion these days. And that's what we are actually going through. And if you are interested in that kind of thing, Patreon, the link is in the description below, where it can be massively helpful to you. And if you haven't actually hit that like button, I would say, slap that. It helps me a lot. Now, coming back onto this, one thing is clear. Adoption is increasing. That flywheel of adoption is now taking off in different nations, which were kind of hesitant with the SEC case on the crypto asset XRP. Now they are not. One by one, all of them are moving into that area where they're comfortable taking on crypto assets. And why is that really important? Because these kind of news kind of shows you the payment industry is now looking into or entering into this area. Remember, Ripple already has a ton of network in banks, financial institutions, payments, non-bank financial institutions, everything. So the reach is huge. Don't miss out on this rally. That's the only thing I want to convey to you guys. So guys, if you received value, again, smash that like button for me. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.